It's no mistaking that Ant-Man and the Wasp was another thoroughly entertaining Marvel movie for me from start to finish, interspersed with a few common flaws that stop it short from being amazing. This review will be mostly spoiler free, so if you're looking forward to the movie without knowing every particular beat of the plot, then I will not spoil it for you entirely. We will, however, cover all the basic plot elements that were present in trailers, so if you haven't seen trailers at least, then do not watch this video. I will talk about more details on Ant-Man and the Wasp with the mid-credit sequence in a spoiler talk later in the week. Now let's proceed. Scott Lang is currently under house arrest after siding with Captain America in Germany. Lang was captured after effectively breaking the Sokovia Accords, and he spends his time at home gallivanting about while waiting for his sentence to be released. Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne are still on the run, conversing about Lang's survival through the quantum realm. It's an area where you can be stuck once you go into subatomic mass, a plot point that was reeled in from the first movie when Hank's wife, Janet Van Dyne, was in the quantum realm for a long time after all these years prior. Without going into details, the rest of the movie becomes a glorified heist film to bring back Janet Van Dyne from the quantum realm by any means necessary. The main leads of the movie, Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly, both shine throughout the film. The interplay of badassery with Lily's fight sequences and Rudd's ambitious spot-on humor blended a nice symmetry of chemistry with everything considered here. Even Michael Douglas as Hank Pym is still pretty damn good as a father figure throughout the entire film. He has nice interplay with the characters, while many of the other characters like Michael Pena, he's still pretty hilarious. Some of the new characters were either serviceable or they were just shuffled into lesser roles, which might be a little bit disappointing with Ghost as the main villain. There are some new characters I liked and disliked. I thought that FBI agent, the Chinese guy, I thought he was pretty cool. But Ghost, speaking of Ghost, she's just okay. She's a sympathetic villain who obviously has a reason for doing what she did, but I felt like her characterization wasn't as menacing or believably charismatic like Thanos and Killmonger respectively. Either way, she's a far cry from the terrible secondary antagonist played by Walton Goggins. I heard this guy is a great actor, but him playing the southern Sonny Birch is largely forgettable. He's wasted talent that I think could have been utilized more if they gave him something substantial to work with, instead of being this bad guy that chases the heroes everywhere, and he's only really doing it for a very mundane and botched deal. It's stupid. I thought that this movie had sparse action scenes. They were few and far between, but they were shot beautifully. The special effects team and the stunt choreographers knew what they were doing, and everything looked awesome regardless. You can tell that certain directors, they have ascended and avoided that whole shaky cam BS, and Peyton Reed is no different. Nice wide angles of people getting hit. They also had a lot of stuff with the subatomic suits, and it's on brilliant display here with physical and CGI fights that looked amazing. A lot better than the final fight in Black Panther, for example, where two rubber men are fighting. I think they did a better job with the CGI here. I especially love the idea of a character shrinking and becoming giant within combat or chase scenes. This was utilized pretty well, but one might argue that the final action sequence of the first Ant-Man movie remains unrivaled compared to this one. That being said, this movie is pure eye candy. While the peril is going on and it might be on a smaller scale, you can't help but enjoy all the blood and sweat it took to make and string all these action scenes and put them together. While I can't spoil the mid-credit scene and the post-credit scene, there are only two of them. The first one I was absolutely stunned by. It was great. The first one is so good. Make sure you stay for the mid-credit scene. You will love the stuff that happens in there. I can't say much because, you know, non-spoiler review, right? I can't say what happens, but I think people will like it. So make sure you stay in the theater for that one. The post-credit that was after that, it was kind of predictable. It could lead to some discussion, but it wasn't as great as the mid-credit sequence. So I would say stay for the mid-credits, skip the post-credits. Nothing really happens that is really substantial. There's a lot of implications that might leave you hanging for that mid-credit scene, so I will say definitely stay for that. I will talk about that in a video later in the week with spoilers. After the melancholy ending of Avengers Infinity War, I will say this movie served to enlighten us with a breath of fresh air, letting you uncover what Scott Lang has been busy with this whole time. With a cohesive cast that keeps the chemistry fast and afloat with the pacing, that was a major hook for me. However, don't expect the entirety of this movie to be any bigger in the MCU than what you would expect when it comes to intricate personal stories or connecting other events together. It goes without saying that Ant-Man and the Wasp may feel like the most inconsequential film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe altogether, although the lack of peril and stakes still doesn't mean that there isn't a story to digest here. That being said, if you like the fun small-scale side of the MCU, or if you like the original Ant-Man movie, then you won't be disappointed. I equally enjoy Ant-Man and the Wasp and the first Ant-Man movie very equally to each other. It was a good popcorn flick, and I think there were parts that could have been done better or been more fleshed out, like creating a more fleshed out plot, because the plot is very linear in this movie, and making the final sequence of the film a lot more interesting with a plot twist or two. Those are the big problems I could think of with Ant-Man and the Wasp that could have been done better. In conclusion, Ant-Man and the Wasp was an intelligently funny small-scale heist movie that follows another linear goal of the Hope family this time around. Despite a few lingering issues like the pacing of the third act and the movie being mostly unimportant to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I will say there are positives that exceed the negatives in my opinion, making the main characters relatable and giving this sequel a bigger heart of personality to work with despite its shortcomings. I give Ant-Man and the Wasp a letter grade of a solid B-. So this is Renegade Operative signing off. I will see you fine people later. I have a lot of videos in the pipeline. Hopefully I can get that out to you sometime next week. I will be working on stuff. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed my spoiler-free review. I tried so fucking hard not to spoil this movie, but I will in my next spoiler talk. I tried so hard, so you have to bear with me, but I think I pulled it off, and I hope you guys really enjoyed my viewpoint on Ant-Man and the Wasp. I will see you guys next time. Later.